Hey, hari dah malam. Boleh start lah ni.
Boleh, semangat tu. Ha.
Aku semangat tak semangat. Talk, we have to talk. We have to discuss. Semangat tak semangat tu cerita lain.
Okay, so are we starting?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
We are fighting today, that the change that we are looking at is a collective change. It is what I call a 360-degree change. In university, we celebrate debates, we celebrate divergence of ideas, we celebrate dissent. And alhamdulillah, I think this is just a repeat, just to remind you, when we talk about leading the way, we really want to lead the way. In other words, we want to be making some way so that other people will follow. Now, I bring you back to the idea of how we work together, beyond silos, and this is the outcome. So now we are here. We are now into the field. Probably it's the same field, but the only difference is that we have got now people looking at us.
How do you see this new direction different from whatever that we have been doing for the past 37 years?
The main aim in university is to qualify the student to be a good da'iyah, a good caller to Allah.
Have we really break the silo?
Breaking the silo has been one of the main features of our roadmap since 2019. And in fact, we carry that message again in our roadmap 2021-2022. Every one of us working together, we can be very, very strong. Everything that we do, we need to be.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Respectable colleagues, family of IIUM, Assalamualaikum again, and salam sejahtera a bit to all. So today we'll have our webinar, organized by the Academic Staff Association of IIUM, ASA, and in collaboration with IIM World Debate and Oratory Center, IWON. Okay, and the title of today's webinar or our discussion is In Check, Sejahtera Academic Framework. Okay, because recently we just heard our top management, the three esteemed deputy directors discuss about Sejahtera Academic Framework. And today we plan to continue the discussion about the Sejahtera Academic Framework, but at the probably lower level, but we still have our esteemed panel, very important people in IIUM, to discuss SAF at slightly lower level, probably at the action level, insyaAllah. Okay, so
siapa tu?
So let me introduce our panel for today. The panel, we have three panels today. Okay, the first panel is Associate Professor Dr. Lihanna binti Borhan, okay, Director of Knowledge Office of Knowledge Exchange and Advancement of IIUM, and also a lecturer or professor in the Psychology Department, Kuliah of Islamic Legal Knowledge. And then our second panel is Dr. or Associate Professor Dr. Faizah Idrus, lecturer in our Kuliah of Education, IIUM. And finally, the last panel is Professor Dr. Mohamad Fauzan bin Noordin, Professor in the Kuliah of Information and Communication Technology, IIUM.
Assalamualaikum.
Okay, so yeah, inshallah the format for today, I'll be asking questions, starting with Dr. Lihanna, panel 1, and then panel 2, Dr. Faizah, and then Prof. Fauzan, inshallah, the sequence. Okay, there'll be sets of questions. So I hope the panel can keep the answer precise or concise and not too long, inshallah. Okay, we can start the discussion probably with one very important as well as very hot questions for Dr. Lihanna as someone very important in the development of SAF. Okay, Dr. Lihanna, okay, I will ask you the first question. Okay, the first question, this is basically a collective question coming from ASA. So yeah, and probably to start off the discussion for today, today's session. Okay, the common statement that we hear from many of our staff, they're confused. Okay, they said mula-mula SDG, okay, and mula-mula tukar jadi SDG, yeah. And then now we have SAF, okay, and then the problem is kerja kita sama je dari dulu sampai sekarang sama je, cuma the idea ataupun terminologi yang kita pakai tu bertukar-tukar. Okay, so people are questioning how would SAF differs from the earlier, all these earlier macam sebelum ni kita ada rumah, ada pillar kan. So how would this concept of SAF differs from all these other concepts that we used earlier? Okay, but and at the end, every year bila kita isi our KPI, basically the APA, okay, you still have to fill in berapa number of paper, berapa number of student graduated, berapa number student supervised, berapa number of credit hour. So all this says the same. Kerja kita sama. So the question is, the claim is saying that SAF is just a rebranding of what we have been doing for the past 35 or 37 years. Okay, so I'd like to ask the first panel, okay, Dr. Lihanna, what would be your take on this? Okay, what does SAF offers different from the previous? Okay, and then what are these significant difference, if there is actually a difference? Thank you, Dr. Lihanna. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Yasir. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala ahli wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. Okay, brothers and sisters, thank you for inviting Yasir. Sekejap, saya rasa ada gambar. I need to check with my people here sekejap ya. Okay, sorry. Okay, I'm here again. Okay, all right. Sorry about that. Okay, SAF is a mere rebranding. I think if we were to go back, if everybody remembers the slide that Tan Sri used in the liqa, SAF is both old and new. So there are parts that may seem, we have been doing this. Yes, exactly. But there are parts that are actually new, okay, which is the way to push things forward. That's the idea. The old part is definitely like, so it's, I will explain what SAF is and you people decide whether it's actually a rebranding or not. Okay, so the thing that is the same, new, is the going back to our mission and vision. And I'm going to use the word going back. Actually, I very consciously use the word going back because unfortunately, perhaps over the past few years, we have not really seen the 7 missions be really out there. We talk about triple ICE. Yes, but triple ICE is only a way to actually, it's a mnemonic, okay, to help understand the 7 mission. It's not the mission. The mission itself are the 7. So The sustainable part is there, the fostering Islamization is there, the advancing teaching and learning and advancing community is all there, community engagement is all there. So that's the part that we're going to really push more. But what is the new one? The new one, I know some people said, but we have always been flexible. Perhaps from our personal perspective, as a lecturer, we have been flexible in the way we work with our students in our classrooms. Yes, Alhamdulillah, that is so good, because everyone should have this repertoire, of teaching that we can then apply to different groups of students, to different classes appropriately. Okay, but is this actually something that is recognized outside of our classroom? Okay, I have been unfortunately, in the administrative part of the university for 10 years now. Okay, going from CPD to Ahmad, actually with a short stint to alumni, and then to Ahmad, and then to KCA. So it opened my eyes that there are things that we as lecturers don't realize are happening out there, which also makes it difficult for us to do our work. Right now, for example, KCA is going through this system audit, study plan audit in the system with the kuliahs. Why? Because what we learned was that the Senate endorsed something else, but the kuliah, because of how they are doing things, cannot actually accommodate some of these things. So because there's no flexibility there in the system. I'm not pointing fingers here. I'm just saying that these are the things that are out there. What is new? Those are the things that we want to make new. Empowerment, so that we no longer have to, as I think it's actually ridiculous. Okay, but it is actually what is happening right now, because this is what the policy is right now. That if you want to change, to offer your course from semester 1 to semester 2, people actually call us up and say, can we actually do that? That is, that's the empowerment, that's the flexibility that we want to give the kuliah, we want to give that should be given to the lecturers, to the kuliahs. Okay, but at this point, even us, because this is also trying to change the mindset of everybody, from some of us here on the ground and some of those up there in the Senate, that study programs do not have to be rigid. Yes, some programs may have to be rigid because of the professional body's requirement, but not all have to go that way. And just because your program has to be rigid does not mean that every other program has to be rigid. So those are the things that we would really like this mindset to change, for us to be able to then be innovative with what we're doing, but of course at the same time to be accountable. But it's not that what being a good Muslim all about, to be accountable to what we are doing, right? To know what we're supposed to be doing, to be able to do what we're doing, because we have the amanah to do that and to be accountable with that. So we'll, with that, there is also the whole institutional transformation change. I am probably running out of time. Otherwise, I could really talk more, but I leave you to decide then whether you think it's a mere rebranding, but I personally think SAF is a way for us, okay, from individual academics to the program, to the kuliah, to actually push what we want without having to kowtow to the top management. Okay, so but will this be overnight? No. There's a lot of things that we need to do. But alhamdulillah, inshallah, the work that we will have to be doing, like you said, every time sama je, there will be changes. And inshallah, the change will be more meaningful. The work, we have more work to do, but the work will be more meaningful. And I would also say, you say, sama je, no. You can count all of those things that you said just now in the KPI, KIP. Yes, but there are also other things now that are counted, and that's major. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lihanna, for the answer to the first questions. So the idea is SAF is there to basically introduce changes, inshallah. Okay, and hopefully what we do following SAF would definitely reflect that, not just the ideology or the framework looks nice, but the implementation, we are scared when we want to implement. So hopefully all the idea, all the things that Prof. Dr. Lihanna mentioned just now would be translated, inshallah, into actions, actual actions, inshallah. Okay, so next question for Dr. Faizah. Yeah, Dr. Faizah is a professor in Kuliah of Education. Okay, so the question would be related to education part. Okay, the question, in SAF, instructors and students are expected to play vital roles in co-creating their learning experience and educational environment, which means the principle of flexibility coupled with accountability must be fully practiced. At the same time, okay, it seems like too high expectations are being put on lecturers to understand and use education pedagogy, assessment methodologies, measuring outcomes, vetting of whatever you do in class, and etc. So the question to you, like also Prof. Lihanna mentioned just now, okay, when you want to make changes in your teaching materials, also you have to ask the relevant office, etc. So the question now, are we really empowered to be innovative when academics are consistently being put under unnecessary audits and scrutiny? Do you think, Prof, SAF would allow for this flexibility and empowerment to really take place? Over to you, Prof. Faizah. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yasir. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, ASA, for giving me this opportunity to speak a little bit. Okay, so to answer the question that has been posed, first of all, as I am talking about on behalf of me, probably not on behalf of all the people in IIUM or other lecturers or academics. So probably what my opinion may or may not agree with your own opinion. Okay, so the first thing to answer your question, whether we are empowered, are we flexible, are we given the room for to grow? So first of all, in SAF SAF, my question is whether SAF has reached the entire population of IIUM. Tell me, if you say yes, think again, whether or not this, whether it's SAF or it's unlike our triple ICE before. If someone new is joining the university, you have to know the triple ICE because it was already in type. You know, the course that a new lecturer has to go through. But then we have a lot more. For example, we have the spices, Sejahtera spices. We have the Sejahtera module, and now we have the Sejahtera academic framework. How do we know that SAF or SAF has reached the entire population, academics, as well as students, as well as the other communities, the support staff, and so on? All right. So how do we keep tab whether they have already or whether they know? Okay, I know SAF. I have to do this in Sejahtera module. I have to inculcate, for example, experiential learning. But can we, let's say, take one person, okay, one academic, for example, in any other kuliah. So you stop one person and ask, okay, can you tell me about SAF? And then the person will look back at you. What are you trying to say? All right. So that's probably one question that needs answer. So if, let's say, for example, we are not sure whether it has reached the entire population, so what are our next move? Do we need statistics to ensure that everybody, or the SAF framework has reached everybody, and everyone, academics and students, have actually applied SAF in their teaching and learning? And for example, at the end of, like Dr. Yasir said at the beginning, at the end of the day, we are going to fill in our APAR. So where does SAF, where do we put SAF? I have been doing experiential learning. I have been doing internationalization. I have been doing all this SAF framework. But where do I translate all this in terms of my, at the end of the year, that I need to put it into my APAR? Do we have that? So, but then the question is, to answer your question, whether we are empowered. If you ask me, I will say that everyone can be empowered if they want to. The thing now is whether we want or not. Okay, for example, now, has anyone, for example, a vision that what we are doing now, teaching online, for example, 2 years ago? Nobody, no one. So we want to know whether our teaching for academics, our teaching now is similar to our teaching in our face-to-face. How do we actually go about in delineating face-to-face and online? Or are we doing the same? Okay, turn to this page, and I want you to do this home assignment and hand it over to me at so and so date. Is that the only way? If you ask me, some people are doing that because that are the things that is expected of me. But what I really want to highlight is, like what Dr. Lihanna said, whether this is a new concept or rebranding or an old concept that has been put a new cap. But to me, as an academic, we have to always listen. Listening is very important. We have to listen to our students. We have to listen. Of course, we have to listen to the administrator. And then it's up to you, up to the individual, whether the person wants to be innovative, or the person wants to be, or whether the person wants to be popular. Just that, you know. So it's all up to an individual. But for me, like I said earlier on, I want to know whether this framework has reached all the people, whether be it the students, be it the staff, be it the academics, whether they have really understood the core principle of SAF. So that's another question. That is the question that I want to ask back. Okay, whether or not we are ready or we are not ready. So as an academic, we should be always open to suggestion, and whether we agree or disagree. So there should be a platform for us to discuss. So for example, in Kuliah, do we have any platform that we can discuss about SAF? Do we have this? Or we only have a webinar, and webinar, I can see only 65 people out of probably 5,000 academics and 30,000 students. So where do we go from here if this does not actually reach the intended population? So that's my question back and answer and question back to the committee. And over to you back, Dr. Yasir.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Faizah. Okay, so basically, the question just now was, would SAF promotes this flexibility? Okay, and from your answer, if I'm not wrong in understanding you, it says that if this framework are being propagated thoroughly to everyone, inshallah, we would see this flexibility and empowerment really take place.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Prof. Okay, next question would be for Prof. Fauzan. Okay, okay, the question, Prof. For many years, IIUM has spent thousands of hours and even ringgits involving various levels of university leaderships and stakeholders working on Islamization. Okay, before this, we have been talking about Islamization, yeah. And then our course outlines were designed to imbue Islamic education philosophy, which essentially incorporates values. Okay? In IIM, we even have special co-curricular activity or programs focusing on values and characters buildings. Okay, and some claims we have been producing human persons. Okay? We have been successfully producing human persons, and shows that our alumni have been and are continuing playing important roles across the globe in various capacities. Okay, and we are very proud of this. Okay, and these are from politicians to professionals, corporate players to social activists, etc. Okay, and also in the discussion on SAF recently, okay, basically even Prof. Kamal also said that SAF is actually trying to put Islamization or focusing to put Islamization on in action. Okay, probably more relevant actions. Okay, and what do you think, Prof? Do you think the number that we have produced, all these big icons that we have produced are not enough, or are they not impactful enough, or are we now lowering in quality? Our productions is lowering, what we are putting out is lowering in quality compared to before. What is your opinion on this? Are these all the factors that now, because of this, we need this SAF? Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Dr. Yasir, the moderator, Dr. Irwan, the president, my panel colleague, Dr. Lihanna and Dr. Faizah, and my friends of lecturers, Assalam, and administrative, so a couple of administrative joining us. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, summa alhamdulillah, all praise to Allah Ta'ala, and the salawat and salam to our Prophet Muhammad SAW. Mizan, can I share my screen or not? Maybe you enable me to share the screen. Yeah, okay, thank you. All right. Okay. I quote Theodore Roosevelt. If the former president of the United States, he said, the more you know about the past, the better prepared you are for the future. So we have to know why we have to establish IIUM in order for us to chart beyond 2021 now. So I'm glad, I congratulate Transit Director and the team, Dr. Lihanna and the rest that come up with the SAF. And of course, we have to chart new dimension. But before we go further, we want to come to operational definition, implementation. We have to know why we established the IIUM. So like the Director said, the Sejahtera Academic Framework is the old and the new. So old and new. So what is old, what is new? And is related to the question by Dr. Yasir. What is old, what is new? So Dr. Faizah remind us, we've been this SAF been inculcate or in trickle down to all academic and the students, all and what's the input from the students and also academic staff. This is important. Then this is the borrow from Prof. Kamal Hassan. I just searched in the Google and found out this his presentation in 8 May 2013. IIUM Malaysia Pioneer International University, and he come up with why we want to establish this university. Number one, to solve the problem of secularization of Muslim education and the dichotomy of secular education, and religious education, to separate secular and religious. We want to merge together in a way, in Islamic way, okay? To overcome, number two, the influence of secular Western culture and values on educated Muslim youth. Number three, to produce integrated and holistic Islamic leaders. and to develop Muslim nation on the basis of the worldview and vision of Islam, to assist Muslim minority communities by providing educational opportunities in Islamic universities based on Islamic principle. Alhamdulillah, I went to Kenya and we went to Bosnia. We met our alumni, become the leaders of university, become the leaders of the country, and the ambassadors to all over the world. So this is one of our achievements. Even in our countries, Malaysia, we achieved this kind of product. And this is the background. Prof Kamal lays down from Zabah, even before, during British, the establishment of College Islam Malaya, the late Unku Omar, and also the establishment of University Kebangsaan Malaysia, and how Dr. Mohd in 1981 invited Anwar Ibrahim to become in UMNO is to establish few Islamic program. One of them is Islamic universities, Bank Islam, and so on. And this is the philosophy. And I like to quote this book edited by Prof. Said Arabi, our former rector, in IUM at 25, The Past Travel, The Way Forward, published by our IUM Press 2019 to 2009. And he said here, the National Association of Malaysian Student Association, Prof. Kamal wrote this chapter 1, the Muslim International Aspiration for Islamic Universities, established in 1990, took up the course Islamic University, and together with Association Islamic College Malaysia, PKPIM, held the first Congress Islam, Kemajuan Islam, followed by All Malaysia Seminar, Islamic Television, Seminar Peradaban Islam in 1962. And the seminar come up, prepared, presented to chairman. This seminar, when they finish, they come up with the memorandum. They come up with the memorandum to give to the Professor Dr. Omar to justify. And then this is the memorandum. And the memorandum give to that time Prime Minister yang amat berhormat Tun Abdul Razak, penubuhan Universiti Islam by yang dipetua PKPM during that time, Anwar Ibrahim. So we have to know the history. And in fact, I can quote Prof. Ismawi, the former deputy director, said the establishment of universities is not straightforward. It has some kind of the struggle to establish. And this is the vision. The vision, like, and it's not acronym. I have to, what I call it, Triple IC is just not acronym, but it's stated here is the mission statement must be summarized in 4 core elements. The core elements, of course, to make it easy to understand, it become acronym, but it's there. And the word I want to start here. The word sustainable development is there, but in number 2, he said here, I have to produce better quality intellectual professionals, scholars by integrating the quality of faith, iman, knowledge, ilm, good character, akhlak to serve as agent of comprehensive and balanced program as well as sustainable development. Meaning that we are not against sustainable development, but as well, but we emphasize on iman, ilmu, akhlak first, then sustainable development. Not sustainable development come first, then ilmu, iman, ilmu, akhlak. Which one come first? So my question to this is, just Sejahtera come first or Islamization come first? For me, Sejahtera is fine, but must be based on Islamization. This is my emphasis. Then another one is the word. Okay, I come back to this framework of humanization education, and I'm glad now the word humanization education must be based on Maqasid Sharia 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and also SDG, not just humanizing education, because humanizing education, we have to know whether this one is by William Dutton or others definition. So we have to know that humanizing education is defined by our Prof. Tan Sri Rector for Tan Sri Zul, and must be based on Maqasid Syariah. It's just not simply humanizing education that been understood by the secular scholars like Dutton and like others. Like I give example my field, Tristan Harris. He's the scientist from ex-Google, and he worried about this artificial intelligence. So what he suggests that we should go to human technology, human education, human social media. So based on human, but the trap here, when we based on human, we forgot the God, our creator. This is the secular problem. This is the colonization, and in fact, we know SAF is one of the objectives is to decolonize, to liberate ourselves from this colonization. That's why we have SAF. So this is, and I have to confess here, I'm glad I've been IIUM for almost 30 years now, since 1991, and last night I attended the funeral of Prof. Malik Badri, and we know Prof. Allah Yarham Tan Sri Ahmad Ibrahim's there, Prof. Irfan's there, and also now last night Prof. Malik Badri. People love IUM until they have the graves over there. This is a sense of belonging we want. We have the school of Islamization from kindergarten to primary school, to secondary school, to the college. So, and even this is like fulfill the hadith that, or the sayings that the education is lifelong learning from cradle to the grave. We have that. So please, the precise of Sejahtera is good, but we have to make the Islamization part of it. So it's not a part of it. I know it's part of it, but the emphasize of it. So, and you can study through the Sejahtera framework, we can see the feedback of our alumni through tracer studies, that they are happy with Islamization and they want it. And because Islamization, we have good akhlaq, good alumni, and we are become a successful leaders. So, of course, the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement, including Islamization and including SAF. Islamization is not perfect. Of course, we can improve, and SAF also is not perfect. We can improve. So, how about we improve together? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Fauzan. Yeah, Prof. Fauzan reminded us the passing of Allah Yarham Prof. Malik. It was a big loss to IIUM, a very prominent figure. We really pray that his soul will be placed among those who are successful. Because I remember what Prof. Malik Badri in one of his talks said, death is basically an end to a test, an end to a test, and a beginning of a new life. Inshallah, hopefully the soul of Prof. Malik Badri would be there in peace. Inshallah, accepted by Allah.
I may add about Prof. Malik Badri. I visited him 25th December 2020 at his house, and he reminded us, says Prof. Fauzan, please tell others Islamization must include tasawwuf, and tasawwuf is part of self-Islamization, and this is very important. We cannot separate all these things. Thank you.
Inshallah, Prof. So Prof. Fauzan, basically your main comment would be the Islamization is not appearing in the framework.
Not appearing, there's appearing. I Google, I not Google, I search in the soft, it is mentioned 31 times, Dr. Lihanna, if you remember, in the framework, you are chief editor. And Sejahtera been mentioned 71 times. So it's not to compare who more or who not, but the question is how are we going to implement it? How are we going to implement Islamization? I attended the 3 deputy rectors. I come closer is about the Murabi, how to establish Murabi. But still, the Islamization, how to implement like the curriculum based on Islamization, the book of Islamization. I asked I think our rector yesterday and even MSD, what is the KPI for promotion? Previously, I know when I was Dean of Corporate Strategy and the rectors is Dr. Zaleha, we make the the one requirement, you have to publish one book on Islamization. So we want to know where is the Islamization, and now as the Murabbi, we know this Murabbi been not just these 2 years, but before like 2 years, but come to the KPI, we do not measure the Murabbi. We measure the how many papers you are. Even you are good Murabbi, but you don't publish, you are perish. You are nothing. Even if you are Murabbi, but you do not what you call it, do research, you are nothing in these universities. Even we talk about Murabbi. So this is kind of the implementation part, the operational part. This is why we can have a good framework, but come to the operational, come to the real measures, it's not there. So we want the measures, the framework, framework is good, but how going to have, like Dr. Faizah said, how we want to trickle down to our academic and students. Thank you.
Yeah, in the last session with the 3 deputy directors, also Prof Kamal did give some remarks. Basically, overall he was happy with the framework, but yeah, he's going to give some points for improvement, inshallah. But he was very happy with the point Murabbi, and I think that's where this strong Islamization values that we're going to embed through SAF. Yeah. The Murabbi.
You can see the chat just now. One of Dr. Noazah, he said where to get a framework. Meaning that there are some sectors in our universities, it's not where to get the framework. So this is very important. Dr. Lihanna and the management, how we want to make sure that everybody's get this and understand how to implement the Sejahtera academic framework.
Yep. Yeah, because I believe it is still in draft, because one of the questions says it's still in draft. Hopefully, KCA can push for this distribution and understanding of SAF, okay, but not to leave all these values of Islamization, because our name is also International Islamic, so we are very strong in Islamization. Inshallah, through SAF, we can also achieve that. Okay, thank you, Prof. I have to move to the next question to Dr. Lihanna. Okay, because there are some burning question down, asking about how do we really want to have this SAF in place? How do we want to implement SAF? Okay, question number 2 for Prof. Lihanna. SAF is established based on 4 elements: empowerment, flexibility, innovativeness, and accountability. In the document, it was acknowledged, I think, in the introduction by the deputy directors in the very early part of the SAF, says that we need huge transformation. It says that we need huge transformation. Okay, but at the same time, in the remarks by the deputy directors, it says SAF is not made on administrative and financial factors. Okay, basically we are dreaming about SAF without thinking about the resources that we have. So I'm not sure if that statement is correct, or are you going to edit that out? I'm not sure. But people are questioning, wouldn't this mean that SAF remains theoretical in nature and does not offer practical measures to address the current challenges that we are facing? Because many times we need to generate income. We don't have money. And so what is your take on this? Can SAF be successfully implemented if it is not based on administrative and financial factors?
Okay.
Thank you. Dr. Lihanna.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Yasir. This is the problem, right? When we take things out of context, when we take sentences, I mean, the same way, some verses in the Quran taken out of the context, it is as if Islam is a very violent religion, which is not so. I mean, I'm not going to compare stuff with, this is just our tendency as human beings to perhaps see things differently and see things the way we want to see it, which is fair, but it is also fair. I think this is one of the forums for the tabayun to happen, so that we can overcome this misunderstanding. And listening to Dr. Faizah, listening to Dr. Fauzan, I think there is still some misunderstanding. I think most of you, I think Dr. Fauzan has now Prof. Fauzan now does get it, but you know, there are, like you said, the document itself is not complete. It is not meant to be perfect. It is meant to be a starting point for us to move together as a university. That's why if you want to say, okay, how do we do this ABC? Where's the ABCD? Where's the ABCD? There is no ABCD yet, not in the soft document, because otherwise then we basically, if we're prescribing everything, there's no point we're talking about empowerment. There's no point we're talking about flexibility. There's no point we talk about innovation. Then we all just want to be policing, accountability and be policing only. But that is not the point of SAF. Okay? And so given that this is, the book itself is now complete, ready, the implementation part is the one that really needs everybody to come together. We need to have meeting points somewhere, and I thank ourselves for doing this forum. Inshallah, this will be one of those meeting points where we can really also start talking and also to address Dr. Faizah's, you know, is everybody aware of this? This is one of the ways. And again, we thank ourselves for making this part of the awareness of our academics, but it is not going to be only for academics, you know, because SAF is really part of the whole institution transformation. So we will be engaging with the administrative staff of all levels, inshallah. Okay, so but to go back to, sebab saya nak betulkan yang tadi je. Mula-mula. Okay.
What does it
Like kita. Tak, sebenarnya I'm going to say that I am today emotionally unstable. Okay. You know, having lost Prof. Malik Badri, and then you people had to bring him up. I blame you for this. Okay. You know, and then after what happened with this one just now, and also I also lost another teacher today, this morning, just learned that. So this is not the best frame of mind, but that is my personal problem, not yours. Okay. Anyway, the thing is this. So, so if stuff is not about administrative, is it then up there? No. The point of that sentence just now is to actually say that when we make decisions, it cannot be, oh, we cannot do this, susah. Maknanya, logistically, it is susah. That should not be the reason why we do things. You know, that should not be when people say, oh, we cannot do this. We have no money. You know, we cannot stop with financing. There is no money. The point of SAF is to actually have something for us as academics and also as administrators in the agency to push the finance and say, no, you cannot make finance, no money as the reason for us not giving the best to our students, to our staff. That is the point of that. If you, okay lah, ni I get personal also with Dr. Yasir, because you have been in Ahmad long enough, right? A lot of you people up there also in the list also have been in administrative position long enough. You know, okay, a lot of the things that we want to do cannot be done because administratively they say it cannot be done. This is where I say we use something to challenge this current SOPs. Okay, saya yang jaga SOP ni, kan? But the SOP is yours. Saya tak jaga SOP sebenarnya. Okay, saya jaga memantau whether SOPs are renewed. So the SOP are yours. So you know, why do we have policies that make us that make us not able to move? So that's the point of stuff. That is when we say, you cannot say, oh, I don't want to offer this course because I don't want to do free electives, for example. Okay, I don't want to do free electives because it's difficult when there are to handle the registration of students from other kuliah. That is what we mean. That should not be the reason. That should not be the administrative decision that decide why we do what we do. Okay, so this is why the Safiyah, the AFIA in SAF and that particular sentence actually, you know, so you need to see that in context. I think a lot of us are frustrated when we want to make changes, but we're then told that cannot because it cannot be done administratively. Kan? So these are the things that we want to just push, but it cannot be from my office alone, from Ahmad alone, from one office alone. It has to be every one of us. We have to come back together, which is why we have to understand what is at the heart of SAF, that SAF does not take away the Islamization part. SAF actually push the Islamization part. I have to tell you, I have been sitting looking at documents of programs for 10 years now from all across university, and most of the time, a lot of us have been focusing more on the program standards from the MQA. We forgot the Islamization part because it is not there in the program standards. So we have to push that. And with the SAF being endorsed by the Senate last August, now we in KCA can now really push this also. Okay, but it's going to be an ongoing process. It's not going to be me, or my team telling people, hey, you put this in. That does not put the empowerment part. So this is why we're engaging, inshallah, so that we start saying, we said we want that Islamic part. Our BR, is it there? All this while when we talk about academic programs, we only talk about course outline, we only talk about program learning outcome, we only talk about basically academic related matters. We don't talk about the environment that we are offering our students inside the classroom, outside the classroom, our interaction with the students, that Murabi part, for example. Yes, but then how is it captured in the KIP? This is again with SAF, again, part of the push to start moving. This is why there is the whole institutional transformation as part of that, so that we can then use this to push. Hello, it cannot be just a document. We need to make this happen. Okay, so SAF is only the starting point. Okay, I'm not saying it's perfect. It's my baby, not my baby. It's the team's baby. It's the team's baby that we are now pushing for everybody. We need to raise this baby together. Okay, we cannot. This is not KCA's work. No, this is not KCA's baby. This is not. It is just KCA, or is it? If it's just top management, it's not going to happen. This has to be us, academics and also administrative together.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Lihanna. Yeah. So the statement, okay, if you reverse that statement, because the understanding is basically 180 degree opposite of what the question is about. So if you reverse the statement, it is actually a very, very powerful thing that we can use to really take action and make changes in the university. So hopefully, okay, we are courageous. Again, this need courage to create changes. We need all this courage to put everything, whatever in SAF, okay, even though some of it are quite blurry, some of it are questionable, like this statement, okay, we can use it and hopefully can push the universities to change for better, inshallah, okay, through SAF. Okay, thank you, Dr. Lihanna again. Next question to the second question for the second panel, Prof. Faizah. Okay, we have been mentioning this Islamization and Murabi, the role of Murabi. Okay, many, including Prof. Kamal in the last session, also praised SAF for giving re-emphasis on the concept of Murabi. Yeah, the challenge is now we are introduced with so many different learning medium, learning methodologies. Now we're switching to online. Okay. And the challenges to introduce this Murabi in our academic processes are getting greater and greater. Okay, as a professor in Kuliah of Education, IIUM, okay, how do you think, what can we do, probably guided by, or if the value is there in SAF, how can we do and use this value in SAF to embed or to strengthen this concept of Murabi into our academic processes? For instance, in online, for example, these are big challenges. How do you be a Murabi in online teaching? Thank you, Prof. Can I unmute, Prof? Please unmute your...
Unmute.
Prof. Faizah.
Faizah, unmute, please. Dr. Faizah, unmute.
Dr. Faizah, you are muted. You are muted. Kena unmute dulu.
Sorry. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you again, Dr. Yasir. Okay, so let me reiterate what I just said and when I was muted. So the concept of murabbi is very much closer or close to my heart as an educationist, as well as other people probably. And we know that murabbi has been again and again being discussed, and we are in a way a murabbi in our own rights. Every one of us is a murabbi. Whether you are teaching, whether you're not teaching, whether you are helping, you are support, we are all murabbis. And when we talk about murabbi in the academic terms, for example, we need to also know whether the quality of murabbi, and we know that murabbi is a multi-dimensional description. There are a lot of attributes to the term murabbi itself. And of course, in the morning, we had the session on murabbi. So what I want to bring forward now is what is not. For example, I want to quote Paulo Freire. So he is a Brazilian educator. So what he said here, we have to move away from banking theory of teaching. So what is banking theory of teaching? So in his word, he says, education becomes an act of depositing in which the students are depositories and the teacher or the academic is the depositor. Instead of communicating, the teacher is just communicating, meaning that is the directive, and makes deposits that the students patiently receive, memorize, and repeat. Even as a non-Muslim murabbi, the Western philosophers have picked this up, the notion of murabbi. So for us in IIUM, I have picked up, if you want to, for example, one of the concept SAF framework, there is experiential learning. So that's the core. So if you, let's say now, if you Google experiential learning, what came out first is the Boston University in the US. So why? Because experiential learning is very much related to our SAF staff. All right. So experiential learning is not just learning by action. So actually, we can learn a lot from experiential learning, and that is one pedagogy. Okay, so let me just take a little bit of your time in probably just reminding us what experiential learning cycle is. So this is from Cole. So that's the person who actually came out with the cycle of experiential learning. Number one, we have to, we as the academics and the students as our, for example, the people who are going to get the information from. So we have the concrete experience, having the experience. And I am very, very sure, and I know because I am taking, I am the Deputy Dean of Students Affairs, Students Development and Community Engagement. So what we are doing now with our students is experiential learning. We give them, we afford them the experience and they learn to do it. So this is the concrete experience that they are doing. And I am very, very much thankful that we have, some of us are not for a student union. But for me, that is one very good example of experiential learning. So if we look at a Boston University, the core or the crux of the university is experiential learning, and it's all based on murabbi. The the elements of Murabi. And then in experiential learning, again, we have reflective observation. It's not just doing learning by doing. So when we do things, we have to reflect and observe. Where did I do wrong? Where did I get it right? So we have to reflect on this experience and not just keeping it with us. We have to discuss it with our subordinates, with our friends, with our peers, with our students. And then once that is done, we have the abstract conceptualization where we conclude, okay, so that is what happened. And now we are going to probably, if need be, we need to change. It's similar to what we are doing with the SAF framework, right? So, and then we have the active experimentation. So now with the SAF, we are in the midst of active experimentation. So this is exactly what experiential learning is all about. It's not just learning by doing, but we have to have this cycle going on and on and on. All right. So because we need this continuous reformation of knowledge and skill, while we develop the students' self-development, not only the students, for us too. So, which means I just want to emphasize that knowledge is in the form of liquid, right? It always moves. It moves. So it is not static. So if someone says, not all the time, I know some. If we look at some, for example, 1 and 1 plus 1 is 2. So is there anything beyond 2? What I mean is the knowledge that we have probably now, what we are going on today, what's going on today with the online teaching and learning, inshallah, is just temporary. And then we learn from what we have had now. So we actually, most of us are comparing, oh, we want the face-to-face back. Why? Before this, did we or have we actually thank Allah? That's our gratitude to have students in front of us and the ability to speak to our students, the ability to, to have this face-to-face interaction. And now what we have, we only have online. For example, like this meeting, it's online. It's, of course, it's well and good, but we have to look back at and be bersyukur of, the face-to-face that we have had before. So this is part and parcel of experiential learning, which is the core, I think, one of the core elements of SAF. And we should think about having the experiential learning as one of the very important agenda in our university. I would say so, because we are not mimicking, or we are not just copying other universities, but they have actually moved forward, moved ahead of us. But we have had this. It is very clear already that this is part of Islamicization, right? And we know that we give this experience to our students. Again, I would like to emphasize that when we do experiential learning, we have to have the full cycle. Then we will be able to see the product. Okay, so it's just not learning by doing. So that is one pedagogy I think that is very, very important. Part of it, very important, and should be, we have to take heed of this if we have not done so. So I think that's it, Dr. Yasir, from me.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Faizah. Very interesting when you say Murabi from the university in USA, in the US, because we have been when we say Murabi, he only refers to IIUM lecturers have to be murabi. But very interesting when you say murabi can also be lecturers in UC or even non-Muslim.
If anybody Google murabi, okay, so IIUM doesn't come first, although that's the crux of IIUM, murabi as a murabi. So I again and again I also read the write-up from our former lecturer, that is Dr. Yadullah Kazmi. That was written in 1999. He wrote on the notion of murabi in Islam and Islamic critique and trends in contemporary education. I think that really got me going and think about the contemporary issues in education, which is related to our crux, that is murabi. So if you are able to get, I think it's free. If you Google the notion of murabi in Islam, you will get to the paper by Dr. Yadullah Kazmi. He was one of the Kuliah of Education lecturer before. So I think it's a good read. So if you want to read, please go ahead and read.
Yeah. And when you say IIUM is not the first, then we have to question, why are we not the first? We have been pushing for this murabi, right? So
I wonder too.
Yeah, I think it's timely. We push back this concept of murabi, but probably to get everyone the understanding of what is the meaning of murabi. Okay, hopefully through SAF we can get to that definition and probably a proper framework on how to implement or embed murabi's values or whatever in our academic processes. Okay, final question for Prof. Fauzan, probably to basically you are the representative of you represent ASA. So one question, last question for Prof, about SAF. SAF requires support, okay, requires strong support, especially from the academics, okay, because the murabi mainly are the academics, because we will be in touch with the students. Okay, but murabi are not limited to just academics. It basically covers everybody. Okay, but academics plays very important role. Okay, SAF reiterates back the importance of the role of murabi. Maybe as Prof. Faizah said, we are not number one in murabi, etc. So SAF gives this emphasis on the importance of the concept of murabi. Okay, and that's where the element of Islamization, I think, lies. At the same time, SAF also promotes the FER, okay, to gives you, to empower you, to gives you flexibility, ask you to be innovative and accountable, which means, which I personally think that with this, okay, when you're empowered, when you're given all this flexibility, okay, we cannot just sit back. Okay, the academic staff cannot just sit back and just fulfill our daily KPI, our yearly KPI, a few journals, supervise students, and etc. And then at the end, ask for our yearly increment, right, Prof? So I personally believe that SAF requires passion. Okay, you have to be passionate about where we want to do and how we want to change. And at the same time, we have to be diligent. Prof. Lihanna said, there will be work, yeah, but our deputy director says there will not be extra work, because the question by Prof. Nick the other day, there will not be extra work. But again, we have to be smart and diligent in our action. Okay, from you, Prof, representing ASA, how do you think academic staff, how the academic staff can contribute to these changes? Are we ready for these changes? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yasir. So I have to get permission from Dr. Irwan. He's president. I'm the ex-president. Okay. Well, I think to answer you and I think previously Dr. Faizah, what goes wrong? Because we are not, when we Google murabi, we are not at the top. One of the reasons, maybe one of them, because we don't measure it. We say murabi, but we don't measure it in our KPI, our, but I still remember, where is it? So how are we going to connect this murabi with the KPI? So these are my answer to it, one of them. Then I also want to share with you that this, you can see the screen, isn't it? where okay, here is the philosophy part of universities. We have to know the result. I keep reminding us, myself also, the others, we based on Iqra. It's not the Iqra is not just reading, but to understand, to implement, to internalize it. And this is comprise the Tauhid Uluhiyah wa Tauhid Rububiyah. So, and here, based on that slide that Prof. Kamal's prepared, he stated here, this because knowledge is form of trust, amanah. Here is mentioned Rabbil Alamin. You please refer to this Khair, Khalifah, KH, A amanah, I is Iqra just now, and R is Rabbil Alamin. Sorry, just now I have to, the phone is Prof. Anis Ahmad. He called from Islamabad to ask about Prof. Malik Madri. How this is the connection, the Islamization and the brotherhood. Even Prof. Anis is in Pakistan, but he know about it. He called us. And I want to give example. Dr. Irwan said how people love even to bury in the Islamic universities. Not just academician, brother Abang Razak, if you remember Abang Razak, he live in Sungai Besi. But his wasiat, I want to bury in Gomba in UIA cemetery. This is the wasiat. The sense of belonging, not just academic, but administrative stuff. Back to this khair. So we have KH Khalifah, A Amanah, I Iqra, R Rabbil Alamin. But I don't want people that understand stuff missing the point or how to implement it. But here stated, this is because knowledge is form of trust amanah from Allah to man, and hence man should utilize knowledge according to Allah's will, what Allah's want, not the Western one, not the UNESCO one, but what Allah's want. If we are following the Allah's want, alhamdulillah. And hence man should utilize knowledge according to Allah's will in performing his role as the servant. But unfortunately, the servant here, we don't put bracket Abdillah. So sometimes we overlook the word Abdillah. So I want to remind all of us, we have to include Abdillah in the khair. Yani Khalifah, Abdillah, because amanah Khalifah and Abdillah have to have the quality of amanah. And I, of course, Iqra, and Iqra is just not reading, and R is Rahmatan Alamin. So this is my comment on that. Then how to implement that? Okay, this is one of how to implement that. OIC 1973 established Islamic University, Uganda in Africa, and Niger in the to Islamic education need to in the West Africa and in Pakistan. But the most successful one is in Malaysia. So there, I want to remind all of us the successful one. Of course, we are not what I call it top ranking because of in the first place we don't want to rank us. We don't want to rank ourselves. There is a problem that we think that we shouldn't be ranked by others. So we have our own criteria. We have our own strength, and we don't have to rely on times, higher education, and the rest. Okay, then how to do it? Humanizing education must be defined proper way, not based on secular term, but based on the as I think in the other slide is much better stated, humanizing education based on Maqasid Syariah here and SDG. Now we one of the comment during triple ICE we just remember one acronym. Internationalization, Islamization, internationalization, Islamization, integration, and Islamization, internationalization, and comprehensive excellence. But here we have to remember Saf, Ifia, and Khair, and we have fast. What I call it? These Fatana, these Siddiq, Tabligh, and Amanah. Fast we sometimes people staff Siddiq, Tabligh, Amanah, Fatana. Fast we put Fatana first. Fine. So, but in the falsafah pendidikan negara, pendidikan kebangsaan, is also emphasized on the seorang itu menjadi hamba Allah yang terbaik. So this is part in Jirihas. We read the SAF framework. It stated Jirihas is one of them is to become hamba Allah, Abdillah yang terbaik. So we don't want to miss this Abdillah. So please, if you want to edit, you may, because as Dr. Lihanna said, this one is not perfect. So you can improve on it. Same thing with Islamization. It's not perfect. But and here I wish that we put this Prof. Faris is very good. We have 7 initiatives, but I wish that we put Islamization somewhere there. Okay, somewhere there. Maybe it's be understood transdisciplinary curriculum Islamization, but we cannot just take for granted like people understood. We have to spell out. Okay, this is what I discussed with Prof. Kamal last Friday after the talk with 3 deputy directors. And Prof. Kamal said he willing to explain what is IIM policies and guidelines on Islamization. And he willing to explain and to relate with staff and become the how academic staff can implement is the operational definition. So one of them like this, connotation Islamization and Islamization for academic affair. A is process of pursuing, constructing and developing, adapting, shifting, critiquing, organizing, disseminating, racializing, indigenizing, reconstructing, evaluating contemporary human knowledge in accordance of the worldview, fundamental principle, ethical values, norms of Islam. So it may be there, but we have to make sure it's there. Okay. B, an Islam response of domination secular paradigm of knowledge, culture, and lifestyle. We should have response. We can publish the textbook. Myself published this ICT in Islam, and this book become is translated to Arabic, Indonesia, Bangladesh, and Thai, and become a textbook in more than 5 universities in the world. Then this is our result of Islamization, like Islamic Banking and Finance, IBF. Then the in heart is part of Islamization. Okay. Then excellent professional knowledge is there in self, particular methodology of knowledge construction, epistemology based on paradigm Tawhid, framework of knowledge production, process D, this is important G, de-secularization of contemporary Western knowledge, renewing the theories and method. We're not just stagnant, we just not about the old and the past, but we have to renewing the theories and come up with an innovation, new method. Then body Islamic passive values, norm and ethics. B, creating Islamic environment and community condition. BR, same thing, BR. In fact, SAF spell out a better word, BR. So then number C, providing Islamic ethical, moral, and spiritual inputs. A process instilling, strengthening, and sustaining values and principles incorporated in IIUM Code of Ethics. A, guideline in terms of way to implement Islamization. So it's there already. Number 1, A, Islamization of self. We have to come up with our self-Islamization. That's why Usrah, Murabbi is very important. B, integrating, instilling Islamic values, norm, ethics, perspective, Islamic worldview. C, learning, appreciating, and benefiting from brilliant legacy of Islamic religions. D, producing textbook and reference material. That's why one of major KPI in promotion of associate professor and professor have this criteria. That's why I asked the MSD yesterday whether you have this or not. Then I think you know the answers. E, identifying problem and issue faced by Muslim communities. The guideline is there, and Prof. Kamal Hassan's willing to work together, centrists, and all of us, ASA should work together, and PMB also should work together. Even Kurnia, all those association, club should work together with students. And we know this is our mission and vision. SAF is our mission and mission. Like Dr. Lihanna said, our baby. So we have to be responsible to grow them, the babies together, not just one sectors. And we cannot ignore other stakeholders, other parents, others uncles, others siblings, cousins, like Dr. Irwan, the president of ASA. He should involve in from 1A to Z. Not just when you finish, then we invite Dr. Irwan. What's your comment? No, we finished product where the baby is already there. Now, okay, this baby is already there. Now you grow up together. No, we have to be together before getting married. When we want to know each other. And then we grow up during the kindergarten, primary school, and also up to university until we pass away. That's why I give the good example. Someone passed away, want to bury in the IUM cemetery. Why? Since you belonging till the death and beyond the death. And we want to carry this to till Jannah. It's not just this why I'm working at IUM. That I believe that I will implement this Islamization or what a Saf till with Jannah. We want to carry Saf to Jannah. So that's why we have to justify. Then we have to work together. Please, it's not against Islamization, against Saf or Saf against Islamization. No, we work together. Islamization is the foundation. We have to build Saf on the foundation. Jazakumullah khair, Dr. Yasir. Assalamualaikum.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. Thank you, Prof. Fauzan. Again, when you say Islamization have to be there, explicitly mentioned somewhere, I also heard some comments saying that, why do we also put, which is the other opposite view, also Islamic, why don't we put SDG in the framework, right? There's like, everyone is asking to put every terms, but I think we have to find a balance where and which one is important. Probably Islamization is our foundation. Probably it is important. SDG is the practicality of Islam shown by Muslims to support this sustainable movement. Also Islamic, also probably very important as well. So we have to think about it and find where is the balance. Again, as Prof. Fauzan said, ASA would love to contribute from the beginning. Inshallah, if after this, when university is doing things, hopefully ASA can be involved, from the beginning. Right?
I want to comment on that. It's not like everybody want to put in the framework, everybody want to put that SD should be there or not be there, Islamization should be there, is not be there, Sejahtera is not there. But we want to make sure that people understand the right term. Together we're going to do it and implement it. Okay. Once we said SG is there, it's not anti-Islamic. No, it's Islamic. And I always say for my students, we should be more green and more peace than green peace, because Islam is green and peace. Islam is sustainable. And in the Quran is described the river, the trees, the fruits, all this is sustainable. So we are supposed to study the religion of sustainable, but we do not have to rely on the Western definition. We have to define according to Islamization. This is the thing. We have to, the root of the trees is Islamization. The foundation is Islamization. That's why which one comes first. We don't want people do not understand. I'll give you an example. We say Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Then you say Salam Sejahtera. You know why? I don't know why you said so. You said people always use Salam Sejahtera because to non-Muslim, because they don't understand Assalamualaikum.
Yeah.
The misunderstood that people make. Actually, it's wrong. That's why I don't want people misunderstood of Sejahtera. Salam Sejahtera is again Islam. No. Yeah, you understand what my point? So actually, Assalamualaikum and Sejahtera should be together. It's not either or.
Yeah.
You choose Islamization, or you choose Salam, or you choose Sejahtera. You don't choose Sejahtera, you don't choose. No, it's should come read together. So thank you. That's one.
Yeah, basically the audience for this seminar, I assume it is all Muslims, but I'm here saying both, because both are Islamic. Again, Prof, these are things that probably have to be discussed more in detail.
Yes, that's why, Brother Yasir, Dr. Yasir, I know you understand very well. Assalamualaikum, Sejahtera. But this is what people outside IUM understood.
Yeah.
So we have to face this problem, and we have to be leading the way. So when we say humanizing education, is it according to Iowa State Universities? Because when you Google humanizing education, the one pop up on the first 10 finding is Iowa State University, or others Duncan definition. All this. So we have to define humanizing education according to Tansizo, or according to Marcus Sharia, according to the philosophy of Islamization of knowledge. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bon. Thank you very much, Prof, for the points. Yes, very important. Again, hopefully, everyone can contribute. Okay, you can give criticism, you can give points for improvements. But at the end of the day, we want this whatever we do in IIUM basically based on some important framework, okay, such as inshallah. Okay, this is last question. Okay, basically just for our first panel, okay, because she's a very important person for SAF. Yeah, it's quite long, the session. We're almost at 1 p.m. Probably one last question for Dr. Lihanna, and then we'll see whether we can have a question and answer session or not. Okay, Dr. Lihanna. After hearing what everyone's saying, okay, that there's room for improvement, etc. for SAF. Okay, and at the same time, you also mentioned, and also what have been told to everyone, that the book that is shared to everybody, okay, is to get everyone's input. Okay, it is in draft, right? And some of the comments that I have been receiving, okay, is everyone knows that it is a draft state. Okay, and some are saying that the book is quite difficult to follow through. Okay, if you read the book, okay, you have all these sections, and when you read, you have all the sections, and one section I particularly find it very confusing about the section 3, which is the survey part. I think the survey should not be there, but I'm not sure. And then some commenting that section 4 is too narrow. Okay, you can expand it, make it bigger. But in general, okay, the book consists of very finely written pieces, but they're not connected, and people can follow it. Very difficult to follow the books, the draft, I mean. But anyway, okay, just to ask you, okay, having heard all these comments, all the inputs, probably from ASA, probably if you want to have further engagement later, okay, what would be the next plan? What would be the next plan for SAF book? Okay, and when are we going to publish it so that we can show everybody this is IIUM SAF? Because that's very important. After this, people will not be listening, people will be reading the book.
Okay,
which
all right.
Have to convey the proper message.
Okay. Not just be reading, but also be implementing, inshallah. Right?
Yes.
Okay, but so where do we go from here? To go back, I've been listening to Prof. Fauzan, I've been listening to Dr. Faizah, and I think we're on the same track. And I think after this, actually, they can be the ones talking about soft. Because let me also correct you just now. You said I'm the VIP for soft. No, I am not. We all are.
Not VIP, sorry.
Yeah. No.
Not VIP, but
Again,
important.
that was also the misconception.
We are all important.
Chief editor. Okay, yes. I'm the chief editor, yes. But the book itself did not come from just one sitting, two sitting. As you can see, we started with a meeting of great minds, which included all the deans and then the representatives of the staff and also representatives of students. Trying to look at where we are, where we might be going. And then we have the academic review where we again have all these discussions with students, with administrators, with lecturers. And then we also went through all the kuliah to have again this discussion with them, which is what you see in section 3. Because SAF is not about just going forward. We have to be very, very berpaksikan our mission and vision, right? Which is in section 1 and in section 2. But we also need to be able to know where we are, what is our strength, and have we been doing right? SAF is not saying that we are not doing things right. That's why we have to change. SAF is saying what is right, we have to continue, we have to push forth. Okay, that's why, like I said just now, when Dr. Faizah said the Murabi part, it's not. When we Google, it doesn't come out. It comes from us. So we have to keep pushing this part. We've been doing it, but perhaps the publication part becomes a bit problematic there. But and then so that's the section 3 part. If you think you don't like to, for some people they don't like to read all the things, that it's okay to leave that out also. Okay, so you jump to section 4, which is so now what? Section 4 is the so now what, which is a bit more for the academics, and then section 5 is also the so now what, more for the whole institutional transformation, for the administrative, because we cannot do this alone. The entire university have to be together, and the entire university have to actually change. Okay, a lot of the things that we have been hearing this also are institutional policy, that have been there for a long time that we probably do need to look. So SAF allows us, and I think this is where, as the Academic Staff Association, you can then use this to push for the things that you want. Otherwise, prior to this, it's a bits and pieces, like more of a, we think we want this, but at this here, that's the framework, inshallah, that will allow us to push for what is good for everyone, not just for our students, but also for the staff, academic, and also administrative. So that's the part there. That's a long way of saying that after the Senate endorsed the framework, the really serious work of getting the manuscript done was then done, and then it was given to many people. It was actually put on the internet. The first draft, the very first draft, was actually put on the internet for everybody to see, to actually comment on, which we didn't get a lot of, okay, for some reason, okay, and then we sat down with Prof. Kamal. We gave this to Prof. Rashid Motin. We gave this, okay, yes, I am not name dropping. Okay. We give this to Prof. Asma. We actually give this to anyone who wants to read also, even though the thing is also available on the web. We sat down with them, we got the input, we got your input, but of course, at one point we have to put it out. We cannot keep editing. This is like, you all have done your PhD thesis. You need to work more on this. You can make it more perfect, but at one point you need to just submit so that you can graduate.
So when is
and
the
then
publication?
do the more important things. So the publication, inshallah, then everything is ready. We're last Friday, after my final talk with Prof. Kamal, there were some things that I needed to just put in, the part of ubudiyah part in the Khalifah, which we have not highlighted. So that's the part that we would, but that's really just a small part of that has already been done, alhamdulillah. So end of this month, inshallah. Okay, the printer is ready to receive this one. Just a final look to see that, will this make everybody happy? No. But that's the point, isn't it? This is supposed to get us going. I think conceptually we're on the same page, listening from Prof. Fauzan, Dr. Faizah. So I think this is a good place to get it out. And then I see after this, we're going to have more publications actually coming out, as a response to SAF, or as a way of, okay, how are you people, we, implementing stuff, in each and our different capacity. So those are the things that I would expect, the kind of things that would happen. I know we talk about Murabi not also being very up there, and also the idea that where is it in our KPI, things like that. But if I could just at this point plug for what the Kuliah of IRKHS is doing. Prof. Shukran, as the Dean, has been pushing for what he calls the TCRIT. Okay, so as we teach, there will be also consultation. We'll from that same teaching project, the things that we do, the community engagement that we're doing. Okay, you can have consultation, you can have research, you can have innovation, and we can have publication. But he's not just saying it that these are the things that we can do. He is actually holding workshops to actually allow the lecturers to come together and work these things through. So those are some of the things that we can do. Okay, together. Okay, ini pinjam Prof. Reza lah. Together, mulu lah, tak ingat dah. The team thing. Together, everyone achieve more. Thank you.
Okay, I also didn't get that. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Lihanna. Okay, so inshallah, end of the month to be sent to the publisher to publish the book. Inshallah, but again, I really hope that the book is somehow can represents IIUM when because basically when we engage with people ask what is SAF, we would have to explain it through the books. Okay. So my comment on the survey just now, because when I look, probably engineer, we look at the numbers of the, for example, the number of students taken, the survey are not that convincing. So sorry.
The idea of
From
that
computer
also
science
is,
too, I think we can exclude the survey, just put as the reference, not part of the SAF.
Yeah, probably. But
tapi dah masuk dah dah masuk pintu dah sebenarnya sakit dah saya. Right. But what actually obviously yes it would be, but you know we do have sampling, the idea of sampling. Okay, so we can't have everybody. But the idea of the survey was also this, we keep saying we are good, so we need to have evidence. Or if there are things that we can improve, we also need to have the evidence. And actually from the things that we get from all the various surveys, what you can see that the students were very happy with the Islamization aspect of the education that they receive. So that is something we're going to keep continuing. We have to keep continuing. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to Allah. If I could just sikit je add, when I talked to Prof Kamal last Friday, he made me change. Okay, he said the word amanah should not be written as it is. It should be written amanah to Allah. And I went home and I was like, whoa, that's a whole new perspective. And it really, so we're going to continue talking. So we're going to continue, you're going to continue working together.
Yeah, inshallah, work together, inshallah. Okay, with that, I thank all the panels. Okay, last question was basically for the chief editor of some, not very important, not VIP, chief editor. Okay, I think we have reached the question and answer with the panel session. Before we continue, can I invite Dr. Irwan, President of ASA, because just now I asked question related to ASA as well. Prof. Fauzan have been talking on behalf of himself and ASA. Probably I'd like to invite you to say something else, because you already say something during the session before. You want to add something, Prof. Irwan?
Thank you, Dr. Yasir. I think, it's a lively discussion that we have today. No more question from me, but we from ASA, we really appreciate the panel's moderator time as well as all the audience, because we at ASA, we really think that we need to have more engagements. Whatever that the management of the university, the leadership thinks that they want to bring us to the direction, this one should really, they should really involve the grassroots members, so that we really feel that we are together. So that we should really feel that whatever that we are having right now is actually for the benefit of all of us together. So no more question, because it's already more than 1 o'clock. Alhamdulillah, the session has been going smoothly. Again, on behalf of ASA, we really appreciate your time. So we really look forward to more engagements like this in the future. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah. Thank you, Dr. Irwan. So should we have a question and answer from the audience session? No need.
I think it's already more. It's
1:10, 10 past.
Yeah, it's already 10.
Saya ada makan, nak kena masuk lagi ni.
Oh, okay. Dr. Lihanna is not available. So yeah, I think we have to stop there. Yeah, audiences, your question, you can always contact the panel. Yeah, they are always there. I think they are more than happy to receive your question, to discuss with you whatever question that you have. So I'm so sorry we have to stop here because it's already 10 past 1, and we have to do other things and prepare for Zuhur as well. Islamization, right, Prof? Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Let's end the session. Our discussion session. Thank you so much for the panel again. Thank you so much for ASA and IWON.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Okay, let's end our session with the citation of Surah Al-As and Tasbih Qur'an.